Hello. Hello. Hello.
Oh,
Hello. Hello. And it lost my Twitter Periscope too, because why not?
StreamYards has crashed.
Yeah.
Someone says I'll be late again. I'm right here. How can I be late?
Yeah, he made it. He made it on time. It's
Here.
incredible.
What is this, Andrew? You have no faith in me?
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Of course.
On time.
We got this.
And I have to deal with this kind of disrespect. Why do I even bother doing this show anymore, Travis?
No idea.
I'm just gonna leave and let Travis do the entire show by himself.
All the money that you make from this show is just going to go to the wayside.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't need it. Yeah, how's the dog, Travis? I saw that in your Twitter. You rescued like a dog today from like a burning car.
From a burning car? You're so
Well,
funny.
to the dog, yeah.
Well, in a lot of ways, yeah. Well, this is kind of weird. Hold on one second. Put this over here. I can share that. So this is what these guys are talking about. So this dog was in someone's car inside a crate, which wasn't much bigger than this picture. And as you can see, I mean, it's very like bony and stuff, and just not well taken care of. We gave it some water, and it drank like it had never drank water before, which is, I mean, I obviously have Nathan, who's my dog, my dachshund, and anyway, so the owner came, well, it's not even the owner, it's the mother. It's a really complicated situation that, if I'm being really honest, I wasn't like happy with where it ended, but I mean, it's funny because you never know the type of person that that's doing that. And the weird thing is the car, unsurprisingly, was like a trashed kind of hoarder's car that smelled like urine and stuff like it. You could just tell. But what's crazy about it is the lady who came up, who was driving the car and everything and had the dog in there, it was her daughter's car. But it was like, if you had met this woman in a mall or something, you would have never guessed that it was her that did that and that it was her car and everything. It was so crazy. But that dog was the sweetest. I mean, just the disposition was so beautiful, and just a beautiful face. And we just felt really bad. We had to give it back. In Washington State, and I don't know if this is the same everywhere, but in Washington State, it's illegal for you to leave your dog in a car, and police can break into your car to get the dog out. And of course, you will then be subject to a fine and some other things. So it is and I have obviously, because I have Nathan, I have a soft spot for this sort of thing. So when I saw that, I was kind of upset. But we got her out. Yeah, I don't know. The dog was okay once we, gave it a drink, but it was obviously hungry. I was trying to eat like grass and stuff. I'm like, ugh. We had to give it back to the lady who she said it was her daughter's, and it was. You never really know what happens next, and so I don't know. It was we made the dog as happy as we could while we had the opportunity.
That is really depressing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, wasn't great. Wasn't great. Anyway, so hopefully for me, I'll be back doing. I guess we can talk about this next part in the podcast. Why not? Because we'll need stuff. Hey, Sonia, good to see you. We got to see her. We got her. Yeah, it was really kind of crazy. Evil Greg is back from his last video. I didn't get to watch your last video yet.
That's okay. You don't have to.
That's funny.
I'm good.
So funny. Yeah, I know. They're exactly like children. I mean, that's the thing is when I saw this dog, when I looked inside, it's crazy. When I looked inside of the car and you saw inside the crate, you could see the face. Just for people who are just now getting here, I'll put it up one more time. It was this is a very I'm a very sensitive guy when it comes to this stuff, so it's just hard for me to see a dog suffer like this and then kind of rescue it, but then not know what happens next. So anyway, prayers up, and we'll keep this dog in our thoughts, and hopefully things will be better in that dog's life. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about this in GadgetCast. So let me go ahead, let you about ready to to start the podcast, everybody.
All systems are go.
Alrighty then. Well, let's get ready to record the latest GadgetCast in 3, 2, 1, record.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
Hello, world, and welcome to the only podcast that Richard Branson listened to in space, the Gadget Cast. My name is Gregory McFadden, joined always with my co-host Travis MCP.
Space travel.
What's going on, everybody?
Space travel.
I stop. I keep messing. I keep stepping on Justine because I forget. Can you play that part again? Do you have that separate or no?
Yeah, I can get that for you separate.
What did that?
I just say space travel.
There we go. I love it. Justine with the space travel. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
So lots to talk about today. Some just kind of, some of my personal stuff and then tech stuff. And we hope that you enjoyed last week's episode where I think we talked we talked about a lot of things last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did. We managed to pull a show together during this, what some people would call a news drought is, I think the term for it.
It's been terrible.
It's the summer. I mean, I feel like I face this every summer where it's like, it's a couple slow months, but in a couple of weeks, we'll be back to the mayhem of like September and trying to get all this stuff going together. And in a lot of ways, it is kind of nice to like sit back and relax. But while you're in the drought, you kind of can't appreciate it because you're like, I need to talk about something. And then it's like once like the content starts hitting in the fall, once Samsung is going to have like their event in August, and after that, it's just going to be like nonstop until January. And then January is one of the most depressing months for content creators ever.
Yeah. January, it can be pretty bad. Of course, I think this is worse because at least January has CES and stuff. And if you really want to step outside your niche, you got some cool stuff. But for me, this has been not only that, but the longest drought of not putting videos up. I think I've put up one video in the last like maybe 7 or 8 weeks. I mean, it's terrible, but that's more for me like on a excuse me. Plus I'm getting over a cold, which is terrible. Haven't been sick in 2 years. So it's the first time in a long time. I don't know. But I think for me, I've just been struggling with some stuff, so it's been a while before I've been able to put out consistent content. I'm hoping to start putting out some consistent content. Someone asked me in the chat here, so if you're listening to the audio podcast, of course, like we always tell you, we also do a live stream on YouTube. We're actually on a lot of different places, Twitter, YouTube, everything right now. But someone was asking about something that I posted on my community tab. So I am going to be hopefully starting to post again real soon. I want to shoot something. If I hadn't gotten this cold a couple of days ago, Greg, like first of all, colds suck. It's been so long since I've had one because I've been just at home. Yeah. I almost forgot what it's like to get one, which is terrible. I hate them. But it knocked me out enough that I, while I was kind of intending to shoot some stuff the past day or so, I have not been able to. So hopefully I recover and in the next day or so I can start shooting again. But I kind of announced on my community tab that I'm going to do a couple of Amazon Renewed videos, which some people really like. I haven't done those in a while.
Amazon Renewed.
Yeah, and then I have I think one thing I got to do for a sponsor or something, but or maybe two things. But I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm excited to come back. I think the biggest thing about this is I look at like you, Greg, to tell me like what's going on while I was gone, and I just know that views are down. So it was, and then when I did the one video a couple of weeks ago and it bombed, I'm like, yeah, I'm not excited to come back to this. If I was out, kind of dealing with what I was dealing with, and then I put a video up and it took off, then I might be like, oh my gosh, let me jump onto that. Let me jump back in here. But it was like, it's just as bad there as everywhere else. It's like nothing good is happening, but you keep grinding stuff out. So I got to take my hat off to you that despite what, some people are saying were really bad views. I mean, you generally speaking have doing okay, but some people are really struggling.
Well, to be fair, my okay is still like a struggle to where I would be probably a few months ago, because I have been struggling for a while with views, and I try not to focus on it. I know it's more of like a time of year thing. I know like sometimes the excitement just isn't there for certain products, and you're just in like a bad news cycle. But I will say my last video did really well, kind of got me out of a slump. But I will say the video I did just before that on the iPad mini, man, I haven't seen views like that low, like for that initial like ramp up into like releasing the video in like a really long time. Like we're talking like, YouTube behind the scenes thing. Like it was like 600 views in the first hour, Travis, which at like my level is like, wait.
Yikes.
that's like Greg from 2 years ago. What are we doing here? So it's been slow for everyone. I've seen like Gary, the everyday dad, complain about it. I've seen Renee Ritchie complain about it. So I've seen a lot of people, Luke Miani, even people who make like better content than me. So I can't blame myself. You know what I mean? Like if everyone else is doing fine, then I'd be like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Why does everyone hate me all of a sudden? But I know it's just the general slump of YouTube. I think also, we were in, I think we talked about this last week, like an artificial boost of like, hey, everyone's kind of inside. No one's really going out places. People aren't meeting up. And we kind of got like an artificial boost of people staying at home, probably watching more content, and people needing to actually, maybe more people than normal actually looking up reviews on technology, because there was huge influxes of technology purchases, especially in the laptop and desktop world. And I think that was a huge artificial boost that maybe a lot of content creators won't see this year coming forward. And I also think there's a lot of pent up demand. A lot of places have like reopened and stuff like that in America. And I think there's definitely a lot of people who are probably meeting up with friends or just going out on like, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing, or, just not being at home, not necessarily watching YouTube content.
Yeah. And, we'll see what happens. Like, first of all, I was kind of surprised that iPad mini video didn't do well, because as you know, that's actually the iPad I'm kind of excited for.
Yeah. And I thought there'd be like a lot of hype around it, especially with all the recent rumors that, hey, it is going to get that full, pro read. We talked about it on GadgetCast. It was a big story.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's going to be awesome.
That's the iPad I'm excited for. I want to bring something else up. Something else we talked about last week were the car trade-in things. So I decided to do a little research. Turns out it's true, and true in some really interesting ways. The car that I bought, it's a 2016 Jeep Cherokee Limited that I think I got in 2016 or 2017. I didn't buy it new. I bought it. I think it only had like 30,000 miles or something on it, but it was the year that I bought it. So it was 2016. I think I bought it in 2016. I seem to remember paying like 18,000 or 17,000 for it, something around there, right? My trade-in for it is $16,000 5 years later with 70,000 miles. Think about that. I only lost like $2,000 worth of. That's incredible when it comes to cars. So I'm kind of looking at a vehicle right now, which I should not do because I don't really drive anywhere, but I'm kind of in love with it. And there's two pieces of tech in it that really make me want it, which is the dumbest thing. One is it has a built-in wireless charger for your phone. I mean, that's kind of cool. And Apple Car or CarPlay. And which is dumb because like you literally can just put your phone up and kind of get the same stuff. But I like the idea of it going into my car and you can do it wirelessly. And I think that's so cool. And I love tech and getting a new car. This has been 5 years. Why not, right? Why not treat myself? But I'm not going anywhere. I'm not driving very many places. It would be a dumb purchase, but I'm feeling kind of dumb, Greg. I'm feeling kind of dumb. Here's the thing. You buy all types of like stuff for your Apple reviews. Like you have to buy all the computers and everything. I don't. So the amount of money you've spent on computers and stuff this year is about what I would spend on this car. So I'm kind of like, I don't make as much as Greg does in my videos, but I look at it like this. I can drive mine. I don't know if you can drive that iMac that you got, though. I don't know if you can drive that anywhere.
Hey, that'd be the video of the year. I'll be driving my iMac around. Yeah, I mean, I think normally I would tell you the best advice is obviously don't do it with a car. Like, your car really isn't that old, and then 70,000 miles, cars last like a long time nowadays.
Yeah.
But with this like crazy historic like reset, I thought maybe we would get on GadgetCast this week. It would slow down a bit. This morning I just saw another news article pop up about how hard it is to get a car right now, even used cars. Yeah. And the prices for them don't seem to be going down quite yet. So any other time I'd probably tell you, nah, it seems kind of foolish, but yeah, like if, 70,000 miles, like for modern car, it's kind of low, but it's also starting to get up there. So why not take advantage of the situation?
The thing is the car now is worth probably almost twice what it would be worth normally. Mm-hmm. Like normally, if this was 5 years later with that many miles, it'd probably be about 10,000, maybe a little bit less than $10,000. Yeah. The fact that I can get $16,000 trade, I mean, I can get something pimp, and I don't need it. I like the fact it's paid off. I don't have any monthly payments, but I'm gonna tell you all the technology and stuff that are in some of these cars and the adaptive cruise control and these things that I've never heard of before. I'm like, I kind of want that. I kind of want it.
If you can really like trade it in and it's like you can just spend $2,000 and not have like a car payment, I would say go for it. If you've done like all the math and it really is just going to be like, hey, it's $2,000 more. You're right. It's like, that's like buying like a computer for.
No, it's going to be a lot of money, Greg. It's, I mean, what I'm saying is my trade-in is good. I would for the car that I want, for the thing that I want. Like, I mean,
going up there.
I mean, I'm blowing out a lot. If I'll tell you maybe after Gadget. Maybe I'll tell you after Gadget. It's a dumb amount of money. You're going to look at me and go like, what are you doing? Do you need this? The answer is no.
I misunderstood.
No. Yeah, it's not a good purchase. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. What were we talking?
Shouldn't do it.
No, I shouldn't.
I'll decide for you. No.
But I supposed to call the guy back after Gadgetcast though. But I don't know. I don't know, Greg. I don't know. I already saw it.
Don't talk to him.
I already saw it. No, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
It's over. You'll be in that car like tonight and be like, I got it.
I'm already looking up dash cams and stuff that I'd have to buy for it. I got a colder stuff coming in, and I know, dude. I'm already preparing. It's sad. Okay.
Not gonna be good.
Yeah, let's. Okay, but what were we talking about?
We were talking about how slow it was, and then cars, and then now we're here. We're caught up into the show, so we could talk about new stuff. Did you see any new stuff this week, Travis? Did you see anything? You said you weren't into the tech news. Have you seen the Stream Deck? I need to know if you've seen the Stream Deck.
So yeah, I did. Obviously, I have both the regular size Stream Deck and the XL.
No.
Oh, you mean the gaming thing?
Steam Deck. See, I keep getting them confused too. I'm like Stream Deck because they were announced on the same day, the new Stream Deck and the new Steam Deck. Why are you telling us about? Well, Elgato announced a bunch of stuff too. So let's start with the Steam, the Stream Deck. Jeez. Yeah.
So I did look into that a little bit. I think did I watch Digital Foundry or something? I can't remember exactly. I watched someone do like a review, kind of a mock-up. But why don't you just go ahead real quick and explain what it is, and then I'll give my little take while I look for where Nathan's doing.
For the Steam Deck, it is a portable PC in like a Nintendo Switch form factor. And defaultly, it has what is called Steam OS. If you play PC games, that's the Steam store. And it's kind of optimized for the Steam Deck. Again, this kind of looks like a bigger version of the Nintendo Switch. And basically, Valve is promising that, like, unlike like a lot of other companies, they're going to ship Steam OS on it to give you like an easy experience out of the gate. But they are claiming that you can like load any operating system onto this. So if you wanted to put Windows on the Steam Deck, you could just put Windows on the Steam Deck and like play any game, which is what I'm kind of interested in doing. Because I was just talking last week about Xbox Game Pass being like everywhere and how I want to get a PC for Xbox Game Pass specifically. I need to know if I could just get the Steam Deck to run all the Xbox Game Pass games. And I think I'm going to be very happy with that. Well,
so technically it can for a lot, because a lot of those are streaming on browser anyway. So I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, no, you can. And it's like, it's an interesting product. I really don't think it's gonna like do well given Valve's history of like how they support hardware devices. Valve has been trying to do kind of like a console for a really long time. They've even released like their own special controller, and it just like never took off. They had like these like they had like Steam consoles that I think like you could like certify. I don't know if they ever built their own, but they had like one that you could like stream to. So you'd have a PC, you'd buy the Steam system, plug it into your TV and stream to. They discontinued that, and they were like selling for like $5 at one point, like trying to just like get them out there. So the fact that Valve is now building like a portable Switch console, I have no faith that this thing will actually be supported in the long run, which is why I'm glad that they said it's like completely open. And if you want to install like regular Windows on it, you're free to do that. Because I just have no faith that Valve will keep this supported for 2 years. Like, I really don't think this is going anywhere.
Well, that's a really interesting take. I kind of agree with you in that they have not supported hardware very well, but by the same token, like, what were they doing as a controller? This is something a little bit different, which I think also does necessitate a higher level of support, like actual technical support.
It does, and it should. Again, I just don't have any faith in them based on, you know, I guess the biggest product that they've released, which you could compare this to, and they have supported and they continue to update and sell more of, is their VR rig with HTC, the Vive. So I guess you can look at that and go, okay, they are going to support something like this, something that's a little bit, more consequential than a controller. But again, I try and look at the history of these companies, and it's like whenever Google launches a new service, I am looking at that service and going, are you going to be here in 3 years? Possibly not.
Well, I didn't even know you could. I actually think I thought at first that Windows was on this thing. So it's interesting to me that they're like, yeah, you can install Windows. And I was like, well, that's actually kind of what I thought was going to be on there anyway. You know what I mean? Like I kind of assumed that. So it's funny to me that that's like, oh yeah, you can do this. I'd be like, well, yeah, if it has all this hardware and all this support, I would hope that's the case. Like, let's not fool around here. I'm glad you're allowing us to do that. But and also, how hard is that going to be? Is it going to be an easy process? But it does make it an interesting piece of hardware if you can put like full on Windows on. That means you can do a lot of things with it. And we're going to see some really cool. Oh yeah.
Why don't you share the screen? Because this will give people visual representation of what we're talking about. So
yeah, if you're watching YouTube, definitely you'll see this. Yeah. So it does look like a Switch. It has the screen in the middle. It's OLED, I think, right?
You know what? I don't actually know.
Or maybe it's LCD.
Let's see. Do they have anything?
So $400 is the base price for 64 gigs, which means you don't buy that one.
No.
And then the screens and things get better as you pay more. $529 for the 256 gig, but that's NVMe versus eMMC for the 64, and then NVMe SSD at the 649 plus an anti-glare etched glass and some other things. So not only the nice thing about this is when the prices go up, it's not just storage; they're actually making the hardware better, and you don't normally see that.
Yeah,
you don't normally see that.
I pre-ordered one of these, honestly, so I actually went for the top tier model because I thought the base one, as you said, was kind of like, yeah, you really don't want that with the eMMC. That's like really slow compared to NVMe. And 64 gigabytes, like I know you can actually put like an SD card in here, so I guess you could just expand the storage that way. But I feel like I would want more storage. And then when you get to that $529 price point, I felt like just doubling the storage for basically about $100 more made more sense to me rather than having to rely on making sure like I go get like an SD card right away. So I just went all out with it.
Yeah, you almost have to with something like this. I feel like if you don't, then you're probably going to experience. You're going to get a subpar experience. You're going to be like, I don't know why I did this in the first place. So that $400 entry price, for people who buy that, I wonder what they're really going to think, versus the 649. Even 529 is probably going to be okay too, but I think really you just want to go with the 649 version for the storage and everything else. Because first of all, 64 gigs, how does that work? What is that, like half a game? Most game, I mean, like Call of Duty is like 100 and something gigs, isn't it?
I think you would you would be dependent on making sure you get an SD card to run these games. But SD cards really aren't that fast. Most of them, like I think you're looking at like max. I don't know what the reader is on it. I think you're looking at like max like 300 read write speed on like the SD card.
Right.
And even like compared to like an NVMe, that is considered pretty slow. And one of the things I like about these next generation systems is how fast they load games. And if you want that same experience on the Steam Deck, you're going to have to go for the NVMe stuff. And I think that's probably going to be the best experience. Even 512, like honestly, on any modern gaming platform, it's not too many games if you're playing AAA games. Like if you're lucky, I'm guessing you get like 5 to 6 games on device. Who even knows how much the operating system and all that takes up. So it's not a ton of storage, but it's an interesting device. I really like the Nintendo Switch, and the idea of now, no one's had like, they did like a preview of it, playing it. The idea of like being able to go into like the PC library and just play any game portably, that sounds like something that's really compelling to me, because that is a ton of games. Like I like playing like older games too. So going back and playing like older games, even like just like on the go and like, if I'm traveling or something like that, I'm actually really excited to try this out. But in a strange way, I bought this having zero faith in this product. Like I don't expect it to do well. I feel like it's a device that appeals to a very select group of people. I guess the biggest thing that it has going for it is that it's already just relying on the PC platform. The screen on it is only a 720p screen. So even when you consider the hardware that's in it, even if it's underpowered, the fact that if you're playing it portably, that you only have to use a 720p resolution means that maybe you can push this thing actually pretty high on the graphics settings.
Right.
Because, the second you start going into 1080 and especially 4K content on gaming stuff, that's when it really starts to slow it down and starts to chug at the performance. So I kind of have high hopes for this thing personally. I don't think it's going to be, as some people might have said, like a Nintendo Switch like killer. Like, I think this is its own thing. I think it's going to be very niche. I don't think it's going to sell in huge numbers. Maybe it's a successful thing for Valve, considering they never really released their own gaming thing before, and they're kind of like a smaller company in that way. But I don't think it's going to sell like Nintendo Switch numbers, which is like a crazy success.
No, it's a different segment. I don't know. We'll see. I think they'll probably sell out of their initial batch, which isn't saying much because
no doubt. The pre-order process for this was awful. One of the worst things I've had to pre-order ever. You had to have, and they kind of did this smart. You had to have a Steam account, and you had to actually like have made the account like a couple months ago, so not preparation for this, and you also had to purchase a game on it. So they were giving the first reservations to people who actually use Steam, which I did appreciate. I was like, okay, that's nice, because a lot of scalpers who have never played a PC game before in their life would have made a Steam account and just try to pre-order this thing right away.
I like that. So at least they tried something that some of these other companies need to consider. Because there's so many scalper problems and stuff, so I like that they kind of try to outthink the scalpers. Doesn't mean it's going to completely stop scalpers, but listen, it at least gives you an opportunity to possibly weed them out a little bit.
Doesn't this look like what was that old Sega? You remember the Sega used to have
I had that Game Gear.
Yeah, like I had it. Right? Like, doesn't it? It looks like something like that to me. Like
it's a little bit wider and stuff, but I know I used to have the Game Gear. I loved it, but yeah, it wasn't. All kind of portable systems always feel like there's some type of thing they're giving up in some way. Like you always feel like there's some kind of compromise. This, I think, is trying to be as little compromise as possible because it's basically PC hardware and all this other stuff. But ultimately, if you're really a computer gamer, you're probably playing on your computer. So I almost don't see the point of this unless like you really need to game on the go. Like how much do you need to game on the go? If you're really trying to be up on your games, more than likely you're doing it at home. If you're on the go and you're this serious about games, you're probably coming home pretty quickly. I don't know. I just feel like it is a weird little thing. We'll see what happens. I like technology like this, so I'm kind of hyped about it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I like it too. And but I agree with you. That's why I don't think it'll be successful. Something like the Nintendo Switch, it's pretty clear that they're, it's a Nintendo console, number one, and it's the only one they make right now, and it goes into the TV easily, and they sell that accessory right with it. So it's still very much a home console that you come home and play. But the Nintendo Switch is also targeted towards kids. So kids do need to bring these games portably with them because kids want to be playing games like wherever they are. They want to be playing it on the car ride trips, like in a long trip. When you're an adult, you don't really do that kind of stuff anymore. So the Nintendo Switch makes sense. They have a store presence, right? So if you go into a store, you're going to see a Nintendo Switch. You're going to see all the games there. I don't think we're going to see Steam Deck really in too many like big retail stores. Maybe it'll be at like Best Buy, but I don't know where else you might see this kind of system. And then PC games are all digital. So you don't even have like a Nintendo Switch. You can still buy a physical game. So that's very easy for parents to go in, get the Switch, buy games for their kids. Something like this, I don't know if a kid's like clamoring, going, "Oh, I need the Steam Deck," So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if Apple did something like this.
Yeah, but I feel like I just feel like Apple would need to make like an accessory for their phones, and that's it. An accessory for the phones and the iPads, like just something to put on the sides with controllers, first party, put like smart connectors on the side, make it like as elegant as using the Magic Keyboard on the iPad. They don't need to make dedicated hardware. They got the hardware. They just need a better controller for those things that fits in like a. Can you imagine if Apple just made like an insert like this and you put your phone in it and it was just like really nice hardware? Like that would be it, right? Like they would dominate. I feel like Apple's strategy to win gaming, like this kind of gaming, is really easy for them because the phones are powerful enough at this point. The A14 chip, like graphically, it is a monster and it's only going to get like even more powerful. Like if they like Apple put like an insert like this, put a fan like maybe behind it to like even like cool the phone off more to keep the performance there. I just don't know if they'd ever make a device like that. I don't know. I feel like their head just isn't in that space to make like dedicated gaming hardware for whatever reason. I feel like it's an obvious moneymaker for them. Why not do it? But
yeah, I don't know that we're going to see that from them, but it is an interesting piece of hardware that we wanted to make sure you guys and gals know about. Now, the other stuff is more for creators, so I don't know that we need to spend too much time on this. The Elgato company, which is owned by Logitech, has a bunch of things. Like if you look at our YouTube channel and watch some of our streams, you'll notice that some of the lights and things that we use in Stream Deck and stuff that we use they're just tools that creators use to make things easier. And they came out with some new hardware. It's funny though, because the new Stream Deck, which is has a little OLED kind of buttons and stuff configurable. I have that in the XL. Stream Deck this time, now not Steam Deck. So we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
It's the thing about this is it reminds me of what we talked about the Nintendo Switch from last week. Like there's almost not much of any change to this new Stream Deck. There's like a removable face plate, but I don't know that there's any other difference. I think I watched another video. So it almost seems like some companies are desperate to put out a new product, but there's no kind of innovation behind most of them. They're just like a refresh. And I don't understand what the point is. So this is kind of like the second company that's done this in a row. And I just don't get it. What do you think, Greg? I mean, did you get a chance to look at this at all?
Yeah, I looked at again, I'm a big Elgato fan. I got that little arm mount. My camera's on that right now. I got a light to my side that's Elgato. The green screen behind me is one of those Elgato collapsible green screen. I'm a huge fan of all their stuff. Did you see the microphone arm they announced too? I was kind of like thinking like that. Cool.
I think so. I'm kind of curious about that. Now, the last time that one camera arm you had, I tried to get forever and I never could get it. So I'm afraid that's something else that'll sell out. That microphone arm I am kind of curious about.
I might get it. And yeah, I was kind of like, I wanted to think about it more. And I'm just like looking at it, I'm like, this thing's going to sell out in like 2 seconds if I don't get it. I still didn't pull the trigger because, it's like $100. My mic arm works fine. Do I really need it? But it looks really cool, which I appreciate. I love the look of it. And I think it has like the inbuilt like cable management, which I could actually use because this kind of one doesn't. So if we can hide the cable, it'd be a much more elegant solution. So I think I might buy one, honestly. Maybe keep this one as a backup just in case, that's always good to have a backup. Remember when like these things sold out and you couldn't even like buy a microphone arm like during peak pandemic. So maybe it's probably smart to have it. But yeah, they sell so much cool stuff. But the deck and stuff, that was something I completely said I do not need. I looked at it and went, well, it looks a little bit like nicer, movable face plate, I guess. But like, hey, I got one of these things, has the same amount of buttons, I press the button and it does the thing. That's it. If anything, like I was thinking about getting that XL version. So if they released like a new XL, I'd get that.
So I have that and I love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I actually have two set up to this one computer. The thing is, I think they made a really excellent product and I don't think they know how to make it better.
Yes.
I feel like they're like, oh, it's really good. Let's just make a removable faceplate. We need to come out with something. And I don't know. To be honest, I can't sit there and look at this thing and go, I can think of a whole bunch of things they could do better either. I mean, I might be able to come up with one or two things, but like in general, it's so good already. And I think you're going to see some of these companies that make really good products are having a hard time iterating on them. And that includes the big guys. I think Samsung this year, hopefully with their foldables, will be able to do that with the new Fold series of phones. I don't know how much Apple's going to be able to pull off with the new iPhone. I mean, based on what we do know about it, it doesn't sound that exciting. The MacBooks sound interesting. The M1. Yeah. So where are we at now with the M1X? Like, what do we think at this point? We're going to be so far into the year that, like I said before, M1X is going to be so close to the M2. I almost feel like one's going to eat into the other. I don't know. What do you think?
I think they're two different products, and the average person might go and go, oh, M2's here, I don't need M1X. But I think M1X is going to be geared towards professionals. It's going to be better on multi-core and GPU, and that's what professionals want. M2 will be faster in single core. But at the end of the day, if you're a professional, you're going to want M1X. Maybe at that point you think, oh, maybe I'll wait for M2X. But after this long wait, I think the demand is just there. That's not even an issue for Apple. I think they don't have to worry about it. They see the demand that's out there for these next level professional laptops and desktops. But the M1X stuff, I think we just heard today that they're going to come out between September and November, which makes sense to me. I don't think these are going to be announced at the iPhone event. I feel like that's its own event for Apple at this point, because they can just do one event one month, one event the next month with these virtual events. So I would say October or November probably for these M1X machines. And they're sounding good. One of the rumors that I was happy to hear about is that one of the reasons why these were delayed is because they didn't have enough mini LED displays to go into them. And that's one of the big upgrades I'm looking for ever since this iPad Pro came out. I think that would be really nice on the desktop. It's actually something I'm looking in for PC monitors right now, and they are prohibitively expensive to get this technology. But Apple can make enough of these displays, and they have that economy of scale to get it in at a reasonable price point. I think this is going to be a nice big display technology for them going into their computers. And other than that, though, it's the same story. Faster multi-core GPU, more RAM, and the laptop's supposed to have more ports, maybe get like a new redesign. So these are sounding like really nice laptops that people are just getting upset about because they just want them here now. They want to buy them. They've been waiting for ever since the M1 came out last November. So now they had to wait a full year to get this upgrade to these bigger laptops. And people are just fed up with waiting at this point. It's kind of crazy how much are you muted?
Yeah, I've been talking about this for a little bit, and I think that the problem is that as soon as the M1 came out, I feel like everyone was immediately like, oh man, I can't wait till that next one comes out. And like, bro, this one just came out. Can we slow down? I really felt like immediately one of the first things people said was, I can't wait for the next one to come out. And so good for Apple to make them hold off. I'm sure it's not what they wanted to do, but it is what it is. I feel like this is the thing. We had these people, should I wait? Should I wait? Well, now you shouldn't have waited. You should have already bought the thing. Now I guess you might as well wait. Like, you're almost at the point of no return, unless you can get a stupid good deal. There have been some pretty good deals lately too, actually. Yeah. I think I saw the MacBook Air with M1 on sale not all that long ago. And have you seen it? What have you seen? I mean, obviously the renewed stuff.
The Air go for $900 consistently at third-party retail sites. I've seen the Mac Mini go to like $600, like really good deals on both of those products. If you're going, the M1 MacBook Pro recently dropped to like $200 below the price of what it normally sells at. So there's been like killer deals on these products. It's just that unlike an iPhone or even an iPad kind of, these machines are meant to do different things. Like I love the M1. It's fast enough for me, but I get how maybe someone who's, pushing these things a little bit more, there's bottlenecks there that they definitely couldn't get over. I think a large segment of my audience who watches my stuff is probably over purchasing these things unless they're really doing similar things to me or more than me. But I think they're just more, they just, they want the best kind of thing. That type of person. They want the best. Maybe they want the mini LED display. Maybe they think they need more memory or they need more CPU power. I try to tell people, I'm like, I think the M1, if you really need a product now, basically, Travis, I had people in my videos coming in and I made a video saying, buy an M1 Mac if you need it right now. If you need it now, you should just buy it. You should stop playing this game of waiting. Here are the reasons why you should buy it right now. These new, computers are going to be more expensive than you probably think they're going to be. And the M1, I bet you won't even hit its limits. And I had students coming in going, I'm going into my first year of college and I was trying to wait for the M1X, but I just bought the M1. And it's like, you're a student. I can't think of many students who are going to push into what the M1X can do. Like the M1 is the machine for you. That is the perfect machine.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people who I think are potentially going to overbuy for what they need, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to sway those people if that's the machine if they want the best and they plan to keep it for a while. Maybe that is the right choice for them. I don't know. It's hard.
If you want a laptop. Like, don't forget about the Mac Mini.
Yeah, the Mac Mini and all that stuff.
Like, if you get the Mac Mini, like I've seen the Mac Mini on sale for like $550, I think, from the refurbished. Like, that's ridiculous. There's no reason that you shouldn't pick that up if you've been looking to get into like having an Apple kind of computer of some sort. That's a dumb price. That's a dumb good price, is what I like to call it. I call it dumb good. You ever heard of dumb good before? Yeah. Refurbished right here. Refurbished Mac Mini with the 8-core CPU GPU, which is not even the base. That's the next level up, which the 256 storage is $589 on Apple's website for their refurbished, which you've bought some refurbished stuff from them, right?
Yeah, I just you can go check out my channel. I have a review I got a refurbished MacBook Air for $850. Yeah.
And just for the people who didn't see it, what your general experience with it is what?
Feels like I got a brand new computer in a box that didn't have the picture on it, honestly.
So let's be clear about like refurbished stuff. So first of all, I bought refurbished stuff for years. I've always had good success. But a lot of times what refurbished actually means is it's an open box for most places. Like you go to Best Buy or something like that. It's not really refurbished. But Apple's, I believe that they actually are doing kind of like, they're getting it. They're actually checking it out. They're doing some stuff. I believe that they are doing that because they're giving you the same like warranty and everything. And it'd be stupid for them not to do that. So it seems to me that these are actually really good deals because you're getting them from Apple. I assume that if you order it from the website that you could take it into the store and have no problems, like getting things looked at or whatever. So some of these just look like stupid good deals. For $589 for the 256 and they have two here. That's interesting. They have one that's $759. I don't understand this. It's the same specs, 256. So I don't understand why one is $759 and one's $589. They're both M1, 8-core. One's $759, one's $589. We'll get the $589 one because I don't understand what that's all about.
Storage, maybe?
No, they both say 256.
Interesting.
I'm kind of confused by this, but at any rate, for under $600, if you don't need a laptop, you just need a desktop or something, bro. You know what I mean? Like crazy. I think the thing is like this whole wait for the next thing. That's always going to be a thing. There's always going to be someone who says you need to wait. If something just comes out and there is a good deal for it, then that is the right time to buy it. It's not to go, I'll wait for the next one. It's just if that's what you need, just get it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to break like preconceived notions of like what you need. I think the M1 was a game changer in kind of boosting up these entry-level products to be more of a fit for maybe people who used to be in that mid-range group of, the MacBook Air was too weak for them and they needed to get a bigger system that was probably overpowered for them, but they just really couldn't do what they needed to do on the MacBook Air. I've gotten like buying advice. Like my uncle recently asked me, he's like, what should I get one of these new M1 laptops? And I said, absolutely you should. And he's like, what do you recommend? I said, you should get the MacBook Air. And he goes, oh, well, I currently have a MacBook Pro. I want the MacBook Pro. And I'm like, trust me, you should get the MacBook Air. My uncle's not like, video editing or stuff like that. I'm like, you should get the MacBook Air. He took my advice. He got the MacBook Air. He said he loves it. He said, you know what I mean? Like, so I knew what he needed. I made the recommendation there. I knew the Pro would be overkill for what he was doing, and the Air was going to be the best choice for him. So that's kind of like where we're at. And I can get like, if you've like been following Apple for a long time and you went to go buy a MacBook Air 5 years ago and you're like, that's not going to be enough for me. You're probably right. But today it's probably more than enough for you. Like, the amount of content creators who have like bought a MacBook Air and just did like their entire like video editing workflow on it, doing like 4K and color grading and all this stuff. And the fact that they're telling you it like kept up and didn't slow down at all. Like that's all you need. I know people hate it when like, oh, why do you mention video editing? I don't do that. And it's like, but you don't understand. That's like something that kind of tests everything this has from CPU to GPU. So you can really take those people's words for it when they say that this system was fine for them. And the M1, it's a paradigm shift of what you need. M1X is going to be there for the people where the M1 isn't enough. But I really feel like 95% of the people out there, you get the M1, you're probably going to be fine.
Well, the big thing this year is that the CPU was exactly the same between the Pro and the Air this year. Like there was no difference. I mean, I think there was a couple of one I think had one more GPU than the other, but there never really was any kind of real difference there. So the performance was very small between the two, unlike other years where you might say, well, the Air is one thing and the Pro is the other.
Yeah.
Like like there was a difference. Like here, the difference was so small that unless there was something specific that the Pro had, which I don't even know what that would be, there was very little reason to kind of make that next step. Having said that, with the newer M1s, X's and stuff coming out, I think that's where you'll start to see the big difference.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to talk about this maybe in a video tomorrow. The M1X machines are going to kind of have this same problem. I don't really know if it's a problem that the M1s have. And traditionally, when you go to buy a desktop versus a laptop, we're expecting this M1X to be in like the next Mac Mini, the next MacBook Pro, and the next iMac. Traditionally, you expect to get a desktop system and you would expect it to have a power advantage. With the M1, we saw that Apple put that into the iMac, which tells me that this M1X chip, it is going to be the same chip that is in this bigger iMac and the MacBook Pro, meaning that at least for Apple, the days of you needing to go out and buy a desktop to get the most powerful system is just going to be a thing of the past, with the exception of whatever that Mac Pro is. That's rumored to be like a tier above that. But if you're in the market for an iMac and a MacBook and you're thinking, I'm going to get the iMac because it's more powerful, I think that's never going to be the case again. I think that Apple's going to kind of stick to like a 3-chip strategy, the base level M1 or M2, then you got the M1X, and then whatever they decide to call whatever special version that Mac Pro has. That's it. Like these are all going to have the same specifications and the same exact power for those tiers. And I think it's kind of like interesting that for Apple, you really just have to decide on form factor, not on power and not how much memory this thing can have, because each computer in its class is gonna be exactly the same. It's interesting. Like that's really weird when you think about it.
I think that was the biggest problem this past time, is like trying to figure out what the differences were between them, when the reality is the performance was almost exactly the same. They needed to kind of spread this out and have more processor options for this to kind of shape up, I think, in a way that makes sense. So someone in chat's also saying that it looks like the other one was the 16 gigs of RAM was the difference, the 759 versus the 589. So that's still a pretty good deal.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I did see a couple questions I wanted to get to, and there's a couple that piled up as we were going through this.
All right.
Someone said, John said the MacBook Air has a dimmer screen and less battery life. That is true. It's not a huge difference, though. I will tell you that. Like the screen brightness isn't a huge difference, and the battery life too. I've never done like a full battery drain test because I kind of feel like that's kind of like inauthentic to how you would use the device.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I really don't notice like, oh, that MacBook Pro had 2 extra hours of battery life, because it's like the battery is just kind of good on them. Like you really don't worry about them. It's kind of like using an iPad at this point, where it's like, oh, the battery's gonna get me through the day. I really don't have to worry about it. And then someone asked, I hope I can't see the question, but someone asked if the mini LED displays on the MacBook Pros would only be for watching content. And I think what they mean by that is like to get like that 1600 nits of peak brightness, you do have to be watching HDR video. Like if you were to raise the screen brightness on the display, it wouldn't get to 1600 nits. Like it's not like, oh my God, you go outside and it's 1600 nits of max brightness. The reason that is because in HDR video, say if you have like the sun in the video, that one spot, because they can control it with the mini LED, that would be your 1600 nits of peak brightness in that sun area. And then the rest of the screen would be at a different brightness level. That's how you get high dynamic range. The screen showing different brightness levels in different areas. So yes, it will probably only be for HDR content, but that means watching video, playing games, or like editing that content. So that's really where you need HDR. If you're like looking at a web browser, you don't need HDR. It really wouldn't make sense unless there's HDR content. You know what I mean? Like you can't like do like, hey, the text on this website looks great in HDR. It's just white and black text, you know?
Yeah, it is really meant for media, whether it be gaming or video. So yeah, the when you hear about display technology, it only really affects people that are consuming media of some sort, whether it be video games or video.
How much you want your screen to get to like 1600 nits of like full brightness?
It's super bright. It's super bright. Like our TVs can't even get that bright. And sometimes I'm blinded. I watched Loki all the way through the other day, and there were some scenes that were, some fairly bright explosions and stuff, which was pretty dope. Yeah, it's awesome to watch HDR and Dolby Vision content on either an OLED or a mini LED display. There's nothing like it. It's just amazing. Yeah, outdoor content for brighter screen as well. Yeah, but phones are pretty good about that nowadays. Remember back in the day when you literally could not have a phone that would work outside because they were so bright, like you couldn't see anything.
No, I think. Having it be brighter for outdoor use. I still think like these next MacBook Pros, they'll probably be the same as the iPad Pro screens, honestly. So it'll probably be 600 nits like during normal use, which is a lot. I think the current laptops only get to 500 max. So it'll be a little bit of a boost there. But if you start running that screen at like 1600 nits all the time, maybe outdoors it's okay because it's super bright out there. But then you'll run into like other issues of maybe it'll probably overheat putting out all that light. So that's probably something Apple wouldn't want to do. And then I'm sure the battery life would be absolute trash at that point.
Yes, for sure. I think it's important to understand that some technology over time ages more gracefully than others. I keep talking to my friend about one of the only pieces of technology that doesn't age badly, which is speakers. Like, actual speakers. Like the technology behind speakers doesn't change too much. And it's really interesting because you can have some great sounding speakers that someone bought 20 years ago and use them now in a surround sound system and they sound amazing. Whereas like even the amplifier, the television, like the cables, everything else about it has changed. But the speakers themselves, the technology behind them hasn't changed so much that they sound so much better with the newer technology. Now, smaller speakers do, but in general, speakers is a technology that just kind of sticks around and just, it works. Almost everything else that you buy has like a dead date, like a drop dead date where it becomes obsolete. So, no matter what you're buying, just always understand that there's a time by which you're probably going to need to replace it.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
So anything else that we need to cover before we head out of here? Somehow we spiked in viewers. I don't know how that happened. What did we do? We hit something. We were doing some cool things. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to the audio podcast, of course, you got to make sure you leave us a cool comment. You can send us an email or whatever, but also rate us on Apple Podcasts. Because
check that. We've been telling people to rate us on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest,
what do we got?
I haven't checked in a little bit. So let me see. We got any notable reviews I should call out on the GadgetCast Apple Podcast? Maybe if you leave us a review, I'll remember to read this next week and I'll give you a shout out. Look at this. I think this is new, May 10th. That seems more recent than some of the other ones I've seen. Mm-hmm. This is from JSLA-1. Travis and Greg are great. They are enthusiastic about tech and they keep it real when companies miss the mark. Oh, we're keeping companies accountable. They say, keep up the great work, you two. 5 stars, Travis. Can you believe it?
Love it.
We got Goggle Boy 3. Great guys with great info by Goggle Boy 3. 5 stars. Thank you, Goggle Boy 3. We got Pro Diablo 66. Just 2 6s, though. This is a good one. As occupants of interplanetary craft, these spacemen have the ability to form and transmit through energy far beyond the norm. There is the occasional rough takeoff, but the nature of contact with Earth's pod people, always friendly, engaging tech talk encounters. Thank you, Pro Diablo 66, for that. That's the best review so far.
I've never heard anything so eloquent in my life about our podcast.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got to read this one. I never do reviews, but Greg said he would read it on the podcast. So here you go. And I never do reviews, but is their name. So I did read it on the podcast. I got to it eventually, but they gave us 4 stars, not 5. So, why don't you, I never do reviews, but why don't you go ahead and redo that? Leave us a 5-star because I read it, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. Some podcast reviews on the Apple Podcast section. Go ahead, drop some reviews, and I'll give you a shout out on the next show. I'll remember to do it. I'm going to write it down.
He's going to make sure that, unlike most of the time when he drops the ball, he does not drop the ball.
I think it's better when we wait. We got a couple of good ones that I didn't see. I like those.
Yeah, no, those are great. I love those. All right. Well, for those of you listening on the podcast, of course, we'll be around again soon. People that are here in chat, youtube.com/GadgetCast. We're probably do a little bit of a post show, as we sometimes do, hang out for a little bit, hang out with our peeps. And listen, we appreciate everyone for joining us. Of course, as always, he's Greg. I'm Travis. This is GadgetCast. See you next week.
I just say space travel.
Bam. You're muted.
We're into the aftercast, baby, where we talk about whatever.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the good stuff. All right. All that was just, that was just a tease for the real show. Now
this is the real show.
About the most controversial topics. Travis, what do you think about the controversial thing that happened recently? Why don't you give us a hot take on it? Go ahead.
We should cancel everything. Cancel everybody.
Ooh.
Cancel everybody.
Do you think the current generation is softer than the old generation? What's your take?
I think that the newer generation,
go ahead,
is perhaps at times not all, but there's a lot of overly politically correctness. I think it's important to respect people, but then shows you look at shows like The Office, which I don't think ever would have existed if it tried to launch now, was not only funny and interesting, but to me also pointed out things in a way that makes you laugh at them, but also points a real light at them. And you can't do that anymore because you say something and you offend some group that you didn't know existed. Now, that's not to say that some people aren't saying some stupid stuff and getting dragged for it. Yeah, I mean, that's happening. I'm all about that life. But I mean, there's just sometimes that you just can't win for losing. And it's like, bro, I'm trying to make a point by using humor. The one person I love who embraces this is Dave Chappelle. There was one of his latest stand-ups was everything you really wanted to say. Well, on Netflix, it's everything you really want to say, but he's brave enough to say it and risk being canceled for it. And it's I'm not about hurting people's feelings and stuff and making them feel bad for who they are growing up or whatever. But I think there comes a point where we're just ridiculous. What was that Father's Day thing where people were wanting to what was it? They said it was offensive or something. Father's Day was offensive because not everyone can be a father or something stupid. I was like, come on, we've gone too far. We've gone too far. It's just weird.
I agree with you and I disagree with you at the same time.
All right, let's talk about it.
Now, I agree with you with the fact that there are certain shows and certain comedy that cannot be done now, but I feel like you could say that about almost every era. You could go back 20 years ago and be like, you know what? They couldn't do that today. You go back 40 years ago, be like, you know what? They couldn't do that today. And I think in 10 years time, you'll look back at this period and go, well, they couldn't pull that off today because times change, cultures change, all that stuff. It's always changing forever. It'll never stop. But I also see a lot of sentiment online from an older generation that seems to always infer that, this new generation, whatever the new generation is, they can't handle what my generation did. But at the same time, you go back to their generation and there was a lot of stuff you couldn't show on TV back then. There was a lot of like, you put a gay character on a show and people couldn't handle it back then. There was a point where like they would just hide all that stuff because people just couldn't handle it. They were too sensitive to handle that kind of content on a show. So I agree that yes, this culture might be too sensitive in some ways, like canceling Father's Day seems kind of ridiculous. It's good to be a father, good to be a mother, whatever, right? Like that's something we should celebrate. It's good to be a role model in this world. Like I'm not a father, I'm an uncle, but like they always include me every Father's Day because I like help raise my niece and stuff like that. It's nothing to be ashamed of, right? But there's stuff back in time. And people were like super, like they wouldn't show stuff or talk about stuff because they couldn't handle it. Like they were also, what's the word I want to use? What's the word? They were kind of snowflakes in their own way, right? You agree with that? You agree that like,
yeah, I agree.
Like people couldn't handle like certain things.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's always people that can't handle. Now, to be clear, this isn't to say that if you're sensitive about something or triggered by something that you're too weak or anything. I want to make that clear because some people will go, oh, if you're offended by anything, you're weak. It's just words. I don't agree with that. I think that there's things you have to take consideration like mental health, which I am very much sensitive to, and some things affect people differently. But by the same token, like I think we have to figure out the point where it's reasonable to make fun of something because it's patently ridiculous. Like I believe that racism and stuff should be made fun of because it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So we should never give it serious thought. It should only be a joke. And what I mean by that is not to say that, we make fun of the slaves that toiled for many years. I'm talking about making fun of the ridiculousness of racism. Like, I think that's what it should be. And that's how you kind of chop down stuff. In my mind, it could be different for other people. But at the end of the day, like we're never going to get there because humans are humans. There's a lot of trash people. And, we just need to have more people that are willing to go out there and be better people to hopefully raise the bar for everybody. We'll see.
Like Travis today, helping out a poor dog. That's a good person. You want to be like Travis in your life. Live every day trying to be a good person, helping other people.
Sure.
Wow.
Why not?
All right. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm just who I am.
This show embraces cancel culture. I think we need to cancel more things, so I'm all about it. Travis, have you tried any of the recent, chicken sandwiches that are out there? I had the Chuck King. I had the KFC chicken sandwich. What's the best one? I had
KFC last night, but I didn't have the chicken sandwich. I had just KFC. But I did order what I think I ordered the Chuck King. Now,
go ahead. Let's hear that.
Obviously, something went wrong.
Okay.
Because that thing was dry as hell. And I don't mean
Yes.
I don't mean by my standard. I mean, literally, this thing was and there was it was terrible. Yep. I honestly have to chalk that up to the restaurant I got it from because there's no way that they're selling those.
Mine was dry too.
I can't believe that they're actually selling that.
Mine was dry too, man. I'm telling you.
It was incredibly bad. And I'm just thinking, I don't know. It was incredibly bad.
Mine was dry too. I only bring this up because I had a few chicken sandwiches from I'm going to try them all now so I can just have an opinion on all of them. I think Burger King is the worst one. I think Popeyes is the best one. Just going to throw that out there. I like the Popeyes.
Popeyes is really good. And I will agree. The Popeyes is really ridiculously good.
And I'd say KFC falls somewhere in the middle.
Where is Matt? Where is our boy Matt Assini? Is he around? Hold on. You around?
Yeah, we gotta invite him back on the podcast.
I'm gonna bring him on right if he's around right now. He's
fried chicken rating for these sandwiches.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. If he's around, I'm bringing him in right now.
By the way, the Burger King and KFC ones are blatant ripoffs of the Popeye.
Of course,
blatant.
They're putting like pickles and stuff. It's like, come on, bro. I never put
thing.
Never put pickles on a damn chicken. I take the pickles off. I hate pickles, but
I like the pickles, to be honest.
That's an obvious thing. Because
great.
who thought of putting pickles on a chicken sandwich before Popeyes did it?
Yeah.
It is obviously.
And they both have spicy versions. Popeyes did that first. They're all copycats of the Popeye. I'd say Popeyes is the best one too by default because people literally died to get that sandwich. So there was no breakouts over the Burger King chicken sandwich or the KFC chicken sandwich. The Popeyes one caused outages and fights. Okay, you don't get those stories every single day. So Popeyes is the clear winner. It's got the drama behind it. Well, it was the one thing that came up that was like, it's a chicken sandwich. Why are people having such a big heart attack? Like, it never made any sense. And then it didn't, when that stuff happens, it feeds on itself because you hear about it and you're like, what the hell's going on? I need to go get it. So now you're in the line adding to the shenanigans. That was a fun time because I remember like hearing about it. I remember then like hearing the news stories about it. Then it's true. I was like, I want to try this chicken sandwich. And you'd go to like a Popeyes location. There'd be a line out the door and signs going, we don't have any more sandwiches left and stuff like that. And it's like, you couldn't get it for a little while. It was weird, but it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. I don't get it. Yeah. Chick-fil-A, I guess Chick-fil-A is good too. But here's the thing about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is mostly good because of their dipping sauce. Hot take. I'll agree.
The chicken is good, but it's the only thing that makes it special is their sauce. Otherwise, it's just okay. I don't like Chick-fil-A for one reason, and that it's almost like I think it's very overhyped. I'm not going to say the food is like awful, but there's like at my location, there's always like a big line. Like when you go there and it's like, I don't want to deal with this. Well, yeah, there's always a big line by me too. Yeah, you're right. So it's like, all right, whatever. Like it's a little bit overhyped in the same way that like my town only has like one Starbucks and there's like always a line there. I drink Starbucks from time to time. I am not waiting in these ridiculous lines when they form. It's like, all right, I don't need this thing that badly. So I kind of give it negative marks just for how like insanely people will hype this up. People will wait an hour in a line for an okay chicken sandwich. Like I'm not waiting in the Popeyes line either. If there's a Popeyes line, forget that. I'll go somewhere. There's like a million local places that'll do it better, by the way. So food. It needs to be fast. I need to be in and out and get my food and be done with it. Case in point, there's a real like the funny thing is like I like fried chicken, but I never excuse me. I never go out of my way to get jeez. I never go out of my way to get it. COVID. No. But there's a Korean chicken place around here. Ooh. Whoa, bro. The Koreans know how to do it. Like, dude, what happened? How did the Koreans become the best place to get fried chicken? They got the best sauces too. Korean. Bro, oh my God, you're 100% right. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna look. There's a place called Baka Baka around here. And I'm gonna real quick look right now because they're open today. I love Korean fried chicken. I love Korean barbecue too. I think I just talked myself into it. You should get it. The funny thing is, I have KFC sitting in the refrigerator, but now I'm looking at this place. Nah, forget that. Throw that away. I know. Period. Oh, wait. What's today? Oh, daily 11 to 9, 6:29 close. Okay, 7:04 close. Okay, no, we're good. So they're open. Ooh, I don't know, baby. Do it. Here, let me share my screen. Oh no. Look at even their website's amazing. Look at the web. This is like a little. It's a local place, and their website is on fire. Look at this place. It's a small little almost hole in the wall place, but look at their freaking website. Jeez, making a lot of people hungry. Look at that. I know, man. I'm telling you, man. Cheese? Look at that. What is that? There's. I mean, it's just. And the thing is, like, I've had fried chicken from a lot of places, and I always thought it was all the same. No. The crazy thing about this chicken is when you're eating it stuff, it's not greasy. I don't know how they do that. because it's crisp as hell.
Yeah, just like pure crisp.
Yeah.
So crispy.
It's all the crisp. It's all the crisp. So here we go. Wait, there we go. So here's what we got. We got all these things, the wings, I get the thighs, the spiced honey, garlic, wet wings. They got everything, man. If you've never been to a Korean barbecue place, oh, Baka Baka's me. Yeah, it's in Seattle, baby. I'm in Seattle. He's like, that's in Seattle. All right. Baka Baka's amazing. It sure is. It's so good.
Yeah, look at those sauces. See those sauces?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm telling you, the sauces are so good. I'm probably gonna hit this up tonight because just looking at this, I'm like, oh my God.
Dude, they have an umami barbecue sauce. That's really good.
Everything they have is good. Everything they have is good. It's just ridiculous. And Greg over here giving that face he does on Twitter. Yeah. Best ever. You right about that. You right about that. Love it. When I did eat meat, Timmy Chan's in Houston, best fried chicken ever tasted. Wow. Raphael in the house talking about.
Raphael's plant-based now. Have you tried the plant-based stuff, Travis?
Some stuff. I would like to go somewhere that has like excellent stuff. I've had some stuff and it's okay. I've never had anything that I'm like, this would definitely replace what I want, but I'm open to it. Even though I'm a huge meat eater, I am open to it. I just need to find the things that will swap me over. I would be open to it.
The one thing that won me over, and I'm not, again, we just trash Burger King. I'm not like the biggest, like, Burger King's great. But I will say the Impossible Whopper tasted like a Whopper. I could get the Impossible Whopper for the rest of my life, and I'd be fine.
It was pretty close. I mean, it was pretty close. That was one of the things that I actually did have.
Yeah.
I don't think do we have a Nando's? I don't know what Nando's is. I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's I've never heard of it, but listen, if you're saying it's good, Franklin knows, man. Franklin don't mess around. I love the community that we have. It's great. Thank you guys and gals for always joining us and being so dope all the time. It makes it so much fun.
56 of you stuck around to listen to us talk about like fast food. So
yeah, exactly. That means
good, honestly.
Means we're really good.
To tap guys, don't talk about food ever.
Mama,
there was one person I was like, oh, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, well, I thought we were talking about whatever. No, man, we passed that. We did that already. Nando's is incredible, but Nando's is incredible. Raphael, give me some suggestions, bro. Don't just say get better. That doesn't tell me anything. You got to help me out, man.
Let me look at that profile picture. Let me see.
Raphael?
Yeah, he looks like he's in shape. We better listen to him.
Listen, man, Raphael's always holding it down in chat. He's always here holding it down.
He looks in shape. I better get on this plant-based.
He probably is, man. I mean, he's putting us to shame. But I need suggestions, man. I can't just say get better. That doesn't mean anything. Franklin's right, Nando rocks. See, so even Rebecca, I know she's over in the UK. Say Franklin's right, Nando's rocks.
It's weird how like I'm with you. Like
hot pot's pretty decent.
If
Chuckstone is better.
If plant-based food tastes exactly the same as meat food, I would switch over like instantly. Actually, like no like hesitancy. It's weird how people are like anti that. They're like, never. I love meat. I'll never stop eating meat. If it tastes exactly the same, why wouldn't you switch over? Like, there's like people that are like actually like opposed to like that idea.
No, so I am a huge meat eater. Huge. Like it's what I mainly eat. But I'm not against something that could, especially if you're able to make it and then put in extra nutrients that natural meat doesn't have, then I'm kind of interested. I don't want to lose the protein. I don't want to lose anything. I don't want to just have something that tastes the same.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose any of that. But I figure if you can make it, why not put some extra vitamins and minerals and stuff in there while you're at it? I mean, why not? I've been a huge meat eater. It's easy now. 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So that was before things got really good. I'm going to taste like meat or lab grown meat. That's been my experience so far, Ian. But I believe that there is some good stuff out there. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Franklin. Me and Franklin are on the same page. And I believe that probably by now there is stuff out there that tastes like it. It's just not widely available, or at least not where I live. We'll see. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. Appreciate you. What happened?
Hello, M1X.
Oh yeah.
You missed it. All right, we're on food now. We're on food.
Yeah, we bypassed it a while ago.
We're on plant-based.
Yeah, my
Oh, he's
Frankenstein
new.
words.
Now I feel bad. Now he's like, I joined this podcast. I thought it was gonna be good. A plant-based food instead of the M1X chip.
Yeah, stupid close. Yeah, they're pretty close. They're pretty
Watch
close,
the
pretty
replay
close.
though. So
Yeah, they are pretty close. And I think we're going to get even closer and better as time goes on. So
I
there's
hope
too much
so.
money.
I would
There's
love
too much money
to
in the
see
balance. Yeah.
Yeah, I too much money in the balance, and it's like as the populations grow, you got to find more food sources. So I would be down for it. I'd switch instantly. Be like done.
All right. Well, we'll hang it up for that. Appreciate everyone for coming on through. We will do this again in a week or so. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Peace and love.